Okay, I'm sure that's true for you. So anyway, greetings everyone. It is presumed that my emoji is Jojing. I will wave my arms to give it dramatic effect.
Hey Bill, how about, can you come over here? Oh, look at you, that's really cool.
So for reasons I'm not clear on, David, you're breaking up. Your words are garbled. It's not just the happy bubbling background, which is so full of happiness.
Okay. Well, all right, I'll stand over here, excuse me. All right, sorry for the confusion. Okay, so you're all set? Wow, you're kind of...
You're wearing glasses. That's a new deal.
Yeah, that's
So I'll be over here.
That's my archer's look. So, check out the audience here. Yeah. Look at everyone, people have their bow ties. Some people have bow ties. Hopefully we can get that working. We see you've got your bow ties, as always.
Yeah, I tried to put one on. I couldn't do it.
So here we are. We've spoken a lot of times before. This is the first time we've ever spoken VR. This is your first time in VR, is that right?
It's my first time as an avatar. I've swum with the whales. I've jumped off of cliffs. I've flown on other planets in virtual reality, but now I'm facing people who are bubbling, full of hearts and applause.
There's an H.
So let's talk. So you have a new book out.
There's an H at the
that book, and we're going to talk about that and about the principles, the nerd mindset, I guess.
R-H.
Just a quick monitor from the audience.
I have a VR question. Can I make you louder?
I will get closer to you. How about that? If you hear me now?
R.
Better?
So I see your script here in front of me.
O.
Just ignore.
N.
Well, just talk to me. We'll have a conversation.
A.
Okay, yeah. So as I say, you're garbled. But that's a fabulous book, everybody. Look at that book cover. You know, they're 20 in a carton. They make great gifts. We have the anniversary of the moon landing coming up and an eclipse. The perfect time to give a Everything All at Once book to some of your best friends or even your mortal enemies.
Okay, wow. You can see the book, and there's also something behind us here. If you look around in case of everything, some things projected behind us as well. But so anyway, there is good. You'll have time for questions. Let's do a couple of hands. Let's wait a little bit. And please try to keep your questions on track. And if you want to ask a more general question, don't worry. We're going to have a question answer at the end of it. So, Bill, about your book. How about that? You want to talk about your book?
Very excited. Did you say excited?
I'm excited, yes. So, your book, you've written a lot of books. This book is kind of one part memoir, one part kind of a call to action for nerds. Tell us about it. What's your goal with this book? Why did you write it?
My goal is to change the world. And so we want everybody has something they're passionate about. Everyone has something he or she is passionate about. And that's probably the thing that you get nerdy about. You get into the details, you embrace. So we want you to use your inner nerd to leave the world better than you found it. How hard can it be?
Well,
go ahead.
No, sorry, I mean, so the book talks about some of the problems. You sound kind of worried in the book. What are the kinds of things that you're worried about that these 8 principles are going to correct?
Well, the word worried is climate change is the biggest problem humans face. And people who ignore it are, not acting in our best interests. So we got to address climate change, and for that, the main thing we can do is to raise the standard of living of women and girls worldwide, and that requires education. It's going to require the slow change of values around the world. But when you empower women and girls, they have fewer kids. The kids they do have are better cared for. They have more resources, and there'll be more resources for everyone. And we will have, in a sense, twice as many brains. Half the people in the world are girls and women, so let's have the engineers and scientists be women. Let's get her done. And that actually is the single biggest thing we could do to address climate change. In the meantime, 3 things we want for everybody. We want clean water everywhere in the world. renewably produce reliable electricity for everyone in the world, and access to the internet. Getting access to the internet for the developing world will almost certainly involve space assets. These would be satellites designed to communicate or transmit and receive the internet, and they'll almost certainly have to be in low Earth orbit because of the speed of light. And so low Earth orbiting satellites then will be in a very complex constellation, but we do it with mobile phone calls all the time. I can call Britain from my phone, and it's effortless. So let's do the same with the internet. It means treating everybody in the world as a citizen and treating everybody fairly. It's akin to the amazing debate we're having in the U.S. about health care. It's related to that.
Okay. So, Bill, let's go through these principles one by one, okay? And you can tell us about them, and you can also, people in the audience may have questions about that, so it will be available for discussion. So principle number one, everyone you meet knows something that you don't. So what is that? What do you mean by that?
That means when you meet somebody, just if you ask directions, if you don't ask directions, you're never going to find your way. But if you ask directions, it's much more likely that you will. So I'm very skeptical that I know as much about cleaning floors as the janitor in this building or even this virtual space. Anybody who's running this virtual space knows way more about it than I do. So if I wanted to learn about this virtual space, I would interact with that person.
Well, so you think people are reluctant to ask for help? Is that basically it? Or they assume that they know more than other people? What's the limiting factor here?
Both. It's both. The other thing, it's respecting other people. It's accepting that other people have knowledge, and just think how much more we could accomplish if we embraced other people, embraced their knowledge.
So what do I know that you don't know, Bill?
How to write a newspaper article in so many words in a short amount of time.
Okay, well, you're quite a writer yourself. You've written a lot of books and a lot of articles. But so let's move on to the next principle, which is good engineering invites right use. So what does that mean?
Yes. It means if you have, for example, a virtual space where the user can't determine what the two buttons do on the thing and can't figure out how to zoom and unzoom, it may be that it could be engineered better. This is an example off the top of my head. So whenever you design a product or a system to be used by people, you want it to be intuitive. You want it to just work. It's easier said than done.
Well, so
the thing is, accept that if it is not intuitive, it may not be the user's fault. Let's put it that way.
Well, so in your book, you talk about helping design kind of control mechanisms on yokes of jetliners and so on. In your work as an engineer, most of us start designing products that way. How does that translate into everyone's life about good engineering? What else does that extend to beyond actual engineering?
Well, let's take writing. You want the writing to be accessible. You want it so if somebody reads it, they understand what you're driving at right away, right?
Right.
When you have a recipe in a cookbook, you want it to be intuitive. When you have a car with steering wheel turn signals and accelerator pedals, you want all that to be obvious to the user. And I put that in my book because that's my thing. I'm an engineer. This is what I'm into, and I want people to appreciate that. I guess it's another example of respecting people. This is to say, you don't presume the user is an idiot. You presume the user is unfamiliar with your brilliant idea, and you need to help him or her figure it out.
So speaking of unfamiliar, we have a video up. If we can play that again, that may be showing a technology that may be familiar, right? Maybe unfamiliar to some people. So why are you such a fan of slide rules, this antiquated technology?
Can I sing the song? Don't know much about algebra. Don't know what a slide rule is for. So if you could, can we stop it? Is there a way to stop it? No, huh? Anyway, the numbers on this device are calibrated or drawn or engraved according to logarithms. So there's more space between the number 1 and the number 2 than there is between the number 2 and the number 3 on when measured with a ruler. But when measured in logarithms, this corresponds. So in other words, let's take an example. 10 to the 1 is what?
10 to the 1, I think 10.
It's not a trick question.
10.
10, yeah. 10 to the 2 is?
100.
Yeah, so somewhere between 10 and 100 will be, let's say, the number 50, 50. That also has a logarithm. It's 1.7, something like that. So the logarithm, although it's not an even number, nevertheless it's very meaningful. It's the number you would raise the number 10 to, the exponent for the number 10 that would give you that distance. So the slide rule enables you to multiply and subtract without any electricity or any mechanism other than your own hands. And I went to engineering school, and this is what we had. This was how we started. And you got really fast with it. But what I always liked about them is they're so beautiful. They're elegant, beautiful instruments. And they multiply, divide, find sines, tangents, cosines, find logarithms, which used to be very useful, squares, square roots, cubes, cube roots. They do not add and subtract. What kind of freaking calculator doesn't add and subtract? It's all we had, people, and we liked it.
Well, does anyone in the audience have any questions about engineering for Bill? Who wants to ask a question about engineering?
Because, I'm an expert on all engineering problems. No, I can't.
Okay. Lisa, there's some hands up. Can you help calm people?
Yes. So we have a question here from Kishaila. Kishaila, you're live. Go ahead and mute yourself and ask your question. Kishaila, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. My question about engineering is that you stated earlier that there's not a problem with the user itself, but that what we're getting, the product, is not perfect and it still needs improvement. But on that, nothing can be perfected when we first come out with it, or even later on, we keep getting better. Google, wasn't built in a day.
Bill, did you get that?
So that's not a bad thing. It's a thing. Just accept that you're not done. That is to say, you present a product, you put it on the market, and people have problems using it. It's not just that the people are not worthy of your product. It's that your product may not be worthy of them. We always want continual improvement. It's just that you want it to be intuitive to the extent possible.
Bill, let me ask you this, not for specific product endorsements, but as you walk down the street, drive around, go into meetings, are there certain designs that speak to you, given your engineering background, as examples of excellent, wonderful, accessible design? Anything come to mind?
The touch screen on a Toyota Prius is pretty good. No, it is. I'm not kidding.
What's so great about it?
There are certain bike lanes that are easy to understand for both the car driver and the bicyclist. You don't want street markings that are confusing. That will lead to trouble.
And what about something that drives you crazy in terms of design and engineering?
The Chevy Bolt's touchpad requires 2 or 3 extra button pushes. So that drives me crazy.
Okay.
In those examples that are akin to virtual reality interactions like this one. If you want to be driven crazy, just consider the people who are in denial of climate change.
Okay. Well,
how you can live your life in denial like that is surprising, but people certainly do.
Okay, so we're going to get to climate change soon. I'm sure there'll be questions about that. But let's move on to the third principle, which is constraints provide opportunities.
Am I cold? Am I getting cold here in the mountains?
God damn it.
So what do you mean by constraints? It seems like constraints limit you. Why would a constraint give you an opportunity?
No, you got to deal with them. You got to deal with constraints. That's the whole thing. If there's a problem, you got to accept it if there's a constraint, rather, you have to accept it and work with it. And sometimes constraints are a blessing. This is to say, the answer you get to is more satisfying than what may have appeared to be the easy way without taking constraints into account.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, it's raining.
Well, actually, this reminds me, yes, what is this?
Oh, it's hailing. It looks like it's hailing.
But this reminds me.
Oh, it's a volcano.
I think it's a fire.
Oh, it's a volcano.
In your book, you talk about how to build a fire in the rain. So this is hail. Let's say this is rain.
I see.
So what?
It's rain and we have a
Right.
fire.
So what is it about? Well, you want to tell people how to build a fire, but also why is it important for people to know how to build a fire when they're unlikely to ever need that skill? What are you kind of getting at with that story?
Well, getting at that it can be done. Don't give up. There are techniques for building a fire in the rain. And when my father got his first class rank in the Boy Scouts, you were required to wait for a rainstorm and build a fire. That was like a thing to do. And the trick is, you need dry fuel, and the way to get that generally is to split wood. Even wood that's wet on the outside, if you split it open, will be dry on the inside. So, but you got to work fast, and you got to get it done, and you got to believe you can get it done. So a couple examples. Do you know the Blair Witch Project? Hey, I don't care about you. Get out of the woods, you losers. My goodness. These people, how they made so much money on that. I mean, more power to them, the moneymakers, but those are helpless kids I did not care about.
Well, so let's look at...
Get out of the woods. Follow the stream. So you lost the map. Go follow the stream. What's wrong with you?
But what is an example? Give us an example of a situation in which constraints provide opportunities. I don't know if the fire story is one or not, but what's one from your childhood, let's say? Or
the fire actually is a good one. You have the constraint of the wood is wet, so you have to work with it by getting to the dry part. The other constraint is, let's take a slide rule. You have to multiply two big numbers. You take the logarithms first from the slide rule, then you add the logarithms and take the anti-log. That's getting around a constraint because you didn't have a calculator big enough. The other one I mentioned in the book is the big horseshoe in Manhattan, where people don't want to have the city of New York debilitated or incapacitated, rather, by a big storm akin to Hurricane Sandy. You don't want that to happen again. The cost estimates on the estimates vary on the cost of Hurricane Sandy, but certainly billions. Right. And so building a system of city parks that will allow the a flood to come in without destroying the economy is of great value. They could do it, I think, for about a third of a billion, 300 million or so. Is that me there with my hands doing this? I guess so.
So
I feel strange. And I like it.
Good. So let's, does anyone have any questions at this point? Is anyone facing a situation in which a constraint feels as if it's hemming them in, and they want Bill to see if he can analyze the problem and come up with a solution?
Yes, I will solve any
Let Bill
problem.
be your problem solver here.
So we've got Thin Blue Linux. Thin Blue Linux, you're...
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Unmute yourself.
Hey, Bill, I just got a question from you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I got a question in reference to your show, Bill Nye Saves the World. And I know you mentioned at the start to backtrack a little bit about the overpopulation, the world. And, I know everybody has their own opinion. And, my opinion is, most of the problems I feel like we're facing in the world is because of overpopulation. And now I know that you say that obviously educating women and stuff, to help correct population. But I feel that that is a down the road effect. What can we do as an individual or as a whole to help the problem right now? Because I know everybody says, well, we need to expand, but then we're destroying the environment and stuff like that. So what would you say is the best thing that people can do as a whole, as of right now, to help try to fix this problem for jobs and everything like that? Because I work law enforcement, and I just keep seeing the homeless rate growing and growing and growing because there's just no jobs for people out there.
It's not just that there are no jobs. Is that it? Where do you live? You live in the U.S.?
I'm currently working law enforcement in Virginia Beach, right on the beach, less than a mile from the beach, where the largest Navy population in the world, and there's just homeless veterans all over the place that, I try to do my best to help, but it's a struggle nowadays.
Well, I'm not an expert on Veterans Affairs. Both of my parents were veterans. And in those days, clearly, veterans were respected and taken care of. Then when I was coming of age, after the Vietnam War, veterans were blamed for political decisions, which included these famous traumas where cities or villages were burned in the name of defense and so on. And I think that's still with the Veterans Administration a little bit. Also, we need, if I understand it, we need to automate or get more sophisticated electronic technology incorporated into the Veterans Administration. And this gets back into a fundamental thing, everybody. We have to pay taxes. This idea that government is inherently bad and should be shrunk till it can be drowned in a bathtub, the way Grover Nordquist, who wants to get rid of income taxes, is always talking about. I think that is not really what we want. When you have veterans who feel unempowered, unable to get a job, and have suffered what used to be called battle fatigue is now called post-traumatic stress disorder. We need to provide for those people, and this requires medical assistance, counseling, and we need to change our economy. Everybody, we are not going to go back to manufacturing things the way we did in my father's time and my grandfather's time. We're not going to be manufacturing cameras, or very many cameras in the U.S. Instead, we're going to be coming up with ideas. That's what keeps the U.S. in the game. So you're bringing up a problem that has many facets. This is to say, people come back from war, they feel unempowered, they may have medical issues that are not taken care of, and there are expectations, especially in the U.S. government right now, that we could go back to an economy of 60 or 70 years ago before what people call globalization, or the sharing of information worldwide, has been embraced. Now, when I took economics 50 years ago, or let's call it 45 years ago, when I took economics, people talked about if Italy's good at building shoes, you have Italy make shoes. Even if they cost a little more, it's cheaper than if you try to learn to make shoes in your other country. I did not make this up. So we have a situation now where things are being manufactured in niches around the world, and they are providing for the entire world. It's not good or bad, it's how it is. So we need to train, if I understand your question, we need to provide training for veterans to enable people to move into the global economy.
Well, Bill,
and you can, people disagree with me about this, but I disagree with them.
so that's a huge problem. We've got a lot of problems that we could talk about. But let's go to the next principle, which is in a sense related, which is number 4, be part of the start. So what does that mean? You're solving problems, be there early? What do you mean by that?
So I'm an engineer, I'm a designer. It's just more fun to get in at the beginning of the design rather than later on. It's just nicer. You'll enjoy it more. So if you have an idea, for example, to take care of veterans in Virginia Beach, be the person who starts that idea. Get in at the beginning and you'll just be more satisfied. Also, the beginning is where all the money is spent. The beginning is where the least amount of money is spent. After you have a design for something or a plan for something, the plan to make Manhattan flood-proof is much cheaper than making Manhattan flood-proof. The plan for providing educational opportunities for veterans in Virginia Beach is much cheaper than providing educational opportunities for veterans in Virginia Beach. So I encourage everyone, to the extent possible, to get in at the beginning of any project.
So we have a question here from Joe in California. He says, thanks for being here, but also you mentioned education being a key pillar to changing the world. How do we go about reducing the cost of colleges in the U.S. when loans are given out like candy and putting people into debt? So what's your answer to that?
Loans given out like candy. So is it your proposal to make loans more difficult to get? Anyway, I paid off my college loans when I was 29, which was pretty manageable. But my understanding now is college is so competitive they can charge more and more money, and people are willing to pay it because of the benefits. So this seems like a problem that could be managed through state institutions. This is another situation where you would use tax dollars for the benefit of everybody, rather than just cutting taxes in the hopes that things work out. I will say that for me, the education has been priceless. My college degree is worth more now than when I got it. But when I got college loans, they were less than, my recollection is less than 2% per year. So it's quite manageable. And you say loans are being given out like candy. What I would prefer is that state schools were very high quality and people wanted to go there and the costs were managed from local governments. But you guys, I say this all the time, we want our politicians to be experts on this. We hire politicians to work for us, to make these decisions. And the first thing when it comes to college loans is we've identified the problem. So now let's do something about this. Once again, if you have people that want to reduce the size of government and make colleges cheaper and make loans harder to get, I'm not sure that's really what you want.
So let's move on to principle number 5, okay, which is related also in a way. So principle number 5, which is think cosmically, act locally. So
that's right.
What do you...
So it's quite an insight, everybody, that you and I are made of the same material as the stars. So we are at least one way that the universe or the cosmos knows itself. And that is amazing. That's priceless. And so I encourage everybody to have that insight. Then anything you're going to do to improve the world starts at home, starts locally. I know people say this all the time, but the reason they say it all the time is because it's true. If you have potholes on your street, work to get the potholes fixed on your street. If you have a city council that you're not crazy about, then vote for people that you prefer or run for city council yourself. So, but keep in mind that we are all more alike than we are different. We're all from the same planet. We're made of the same stuff. That to me is just amazing.
Speaking of the same planet, you see what's up above here, in front of you and behind you. Famous, I guess that's the Earthrise photo from Apollo 8, I believe.
Apollo 8 on the eve of Isaac Newton's birthday in 1968. I was alive, people. It was a big doggone deal.
Well, so when you say think cosmically, I mean, you say something beyond simply being aware of this connection to the cosmos. What does that mean in terms of living your life? You're made of the same thing that everything else is. What does that mean to you?
In terms of what with my mind?
You're saying that think cosmically. So what exactly do you mean by that? You're saying that we're made of all the same atoms here on Earth, exist elsewhere in the solar system.
Well, when it's time to vote, be sure to support the space program. The space program enables us to make extraordinary discoveries. The big thing that the International Space Station does for us is provide statecraft. Astronauts from all over the world get together and shake hands, which is amazing. It's very reasonable to realize that we are living at a time. It's very reasonable that we're living at a time when we will discover life on another world. We'll discover life on Mars. And that would change the course of human history. It would be akin to the discoveries of Copernicus or Galileo. And we can do it for less than $2 billion a year, which is amazing. It's amazing. So support that. Think cosmically, because it will change the world.
So let's go on to the next principle here after that, okay? Which is question before you believe.
Yeah. Yes, question before you believe. If somebody tells you something, it may not be true. And there's there's a big thing. You got to believe, or you got to have faith, and there's something to that. But scientific inquiry is based on questioning, and the scientific method has gotten us here. So I just really encourage everybody to question things.
So what's an example of that? You think people are too willing to accept what's fed to them, or what? What's something you see happening that bothers you?
Well, politically, apparently somebody here in the United States, where I'm standing, people are saying things that are clearly inconsistent, so someone's not telling the truth. And to get to the truth, you got to ask questions. If we want to know whether or not there's life on Mars, we have to ask questions. You can have a hypothesis, but that's not quite the same as a belief. A hypothesis that there's life on Mars, but you can't really say that you believe it. That will not make it so. You can say that you believe that humans could not affect the climate of the Earth, but if you start asking questions, you will find that they do.
Well, Bill, we have a picture up here which has to do also with a story from your book, which has to do with about being a little bit too accepting of lines that are told to you. Can you see this, what's in front of us here?
The octopus, the tree
yes,
octopus.
The tree octopus.
This looks like the vineyard octopus. Sure. Yeah.
So what's the...
Anyway, this is a famous hoax. It's just fantastic. There's no such thing as the tree octopus.
So there's a website, right, with an endangered tree octopus, and what does it ask you to do?
Yes, save the tree octopus, but there's no such thing.
So let's Suther, who's got a question for Bill? Anyone give money to save the tree octopus?
Don't give money to save the tree octopus, yes. That's a hilarious comedy gag. But it is great. It's a fabulous teaching tool.
Lisa, who do we have here with a question?
So we've got Justin. Justin, if you unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask Bill your question.
Hi, Bill. This question is regarding a little bit earlier about the advancement of space and supporting it. How do you feel about SpaceX and them continuing the automated space travel and re-entry back to the atmosphere?
Did you ask about SpaceX and space ethics, both?
So the question was,
SpaceX.
how do you feel about automated space travel in SpaceX?
Well, it's great. Well, you guys, we do extraordinary things in space with artificial intelligence and automated devices, automated spacecraft. We have 2 rovers on Mars that are still roving, Curiosity and Opportunity, and they make decisions for where they're going to go continually, autonomously. What you want is to be able to resupply the International Space Station robotically. That's all good. That way humans don't have to do it. So as we get better and better at the thing to remember about space exploration and automating space exploration, when you see a spacecraft come up to the space station or to rendezvous with another spacecraft, they're going 7 miles a second. I mean, it looks like they're moving very slowly, but they're moving at extraordinary speeds, and managing those speeds to within just a few centimeters a second takes a lot of software, a lot of mathematics, a lot of understanding. So I'm a big fan, I guess is the answer. I'm a big fan of space exploration, automated or autonomous space exploration.
Okay. I think also we have another photo up here which has to do with your interest in space. Looks like a light sail. Tell us about the Planetary Society and about your space probes that you've launched.
So the light sail spacecraft was a vision over a century ago. People realized that light has momentum even though it has no mass. And so what you can do if you have a low enough mass spacecraft in space, you can get sunlight to push it. It's really an extraordinary idea. And when I was in college, my old professor Carl Sagan talked about this technology, and he wanted to have a spacecraft that would catch up with Comet Halley. what we used to call Halley's Comet. But they found some people from the Halley family, and they say Halley, not Haley. Anyway, but that mission got canceled in exchange for the space shuttle program. And so Carl Sagan started the Planetary Society in 1980. I'm a charter member, and we wanted to fulfill his dream. So it took 39 years, but we built a spacecraft to the new standard that's emerged in space exploration called a CubeSat, a cubical satellite. And it's 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 30 centimeters, literally smaller than a loaf of bread, people. And thanks to you all, Kickstarter supporters, we got it in space, and we got a push, and we're going to fly LightSail 2 in the coming months. We're on a SpaceX rocket called the Falcon Heavy, which does not quite exist yet, but it will, and we're on the second flight. They're required to do one flight to prove it works. Then we'll do another. On the second flight, we're on the manifest, and so we, thanks to Kickstarter support, this little box deploys these super thin, super shiny sails on very stiff cobalt steel booms. It's very much like a tape measure, 4 of them, and they come out of this really cool Swiss watch gear drive movement, and the sunlight pushes the spacecraft, it twists. There's no shortage of electricity. We have solar cells mounted on the cube, and it twists in space using gyroscopic momentum, angular momentum.
Excuse me,
Twists
Bill.
in space, presents its sail to the sun.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I think we have only about 10 more minutes.
Please.
I think people can go to the Planetary Society website and read about the Solar Sail Project. But a quick question here from Wade in Atlanta. How can we deal with climate deniers and skeptics?
Well, we have things like this. The word skeptic, everybody, is near and dear to me. You know, I consider myself a noble skeptic. This is to say, if somebody says she or he has psychic powers, I'm very skeptical of that. If someone says his head expands to the edge of the universe and collapses again instantly, too fast for me to see, I'm very skeptical. If somebody says he can walk on fire because he's mentally prepared instead of because of physics, I'm very skeptical. So the climate change deniers have tried to use the word skeptic to say that they're being scientific thinkers with respect to the evidence of climate change, and they're skeptical until it's proven valid. Well, they're way late. It's climate change has been proven overwhelmingly. So the biggest thing, I think, is to wait for climate change deniers to age out. It's going to be a close call for humankind. Millennials and younger people are all very concerned about climate change. It's only old people, not only, almost exclusively old people who are in denial about climate change.
Okay.
So what we want to do is vote, so that we get people in office who embrace the problem and deal with it.
Okay.
The big thing, we want renewable electricity, clean water, access to the internet for everybody in the
We got a
world.
lot of hands up. Lisa, can we get another question in quickly?
We've got Claire here. Claire, go ahead and ask your question. Please unmute.
Hi there. I was just when you were talking about skeptical. Well, I'm psychic, and a couple of years ago, me and my partner were in just dire straits. We had no money, nothing, and then 2 weeks later, after I'd been told by who passed on, we'd won £18,000, and I got a full-time job. I don't know. What do you think to that?
So you're saying the psychic gave you £2,000?
No.
You're saying it was cause and effect, that meeting the psychic enabled you to get £2,000?
No. I am a psychic myself.
Oh, you are a psychic. So you make good money, right?
No,
Okay,
no,
because
no,
people
no,
believe you have superpowers.
Okay, well, let's.
no. And,
I mean, if you're making a living as a psychic, that's good for you. I don't think you have any special powers other than when someone comes into your office, you probably size them up very well. You have a lot of experience with human problems, and you tell them, based on what they tell you, you're able to tell them what they want to hear so they feel better. So that's
Well,
great. But I'm very skeptical that we could design an experiment that would prove that you have supernatural abilities beyond David's or mine.
So let's move. Thanks, Claire, for that question. Let's move on. Maybe time for one more question, Lisa.
So we have Big Man Steve. Big Man Steve, please unmute yourself. You have moments. Okay, Big Man, I'm gonna give you one more second.
Mr. Nye, I was wondering when you said about climate change, is it reversible or is it just something you can slow down?
I don't think climate change is reversible for you and me. That is to say, it took centuries to put all this greenhouse gas, extra greenhouse gas, especially carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. Very difficult to remove that. Instead, we want to control or mitigate its effects. It's the old analogy. If you have a roast in the oven, you have a large piece of meat in the oven. You take it out of the oven, it keeps cooking. The heat keeps being transmitted from the outside to the inside. There's no stopping that. It's an analogy, but it's something to think about with respect to the Earth. There's a certain amount of warming that we cannot reverse. It's baked in, if you will. So instead, we want to get to work and provide renewable electricity and stop pumping any more greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. Stop bleaching coral reefs, as we see here.
We're running out of time. We're not going to get to all the principles. Let's go to the last one, which is be optimistic, be responsible, be persistent, which sounds like great advice for just about everybody.
Yes. Yes. If you're not optimistic, you won't get anything done. If you don't think you can accomplish something, you will not accomplish it. So get out there and do it, everybody. If you don't think, if at first it doesn't work, you've heard this many, many times.
They kick me?
Thank you.
Much. You can use your
Emoji smile. Thank you.
You can check out Bill's new book, Everything All at Once, and I hope you'll come visit us at NBC News Mock, which is nbcnews.com/MACH, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook again. I'm David Freeman. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon, and see you next time in Mock and Beyond.
Thank you very much, you
Bill, I
guys.
fucking love you. I want you to roll out like you did back in high school.
Well, that was fun.
That was shit.
I think I got kicked from the room for getting on stage. Somebody should ask him a question about his Kickstarter, because I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Are we done here? All right, Alt F4. Does anybody else have a microphone?
I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but that psychic was fun.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Ready for joining us for Mock and BR with special guest Bill Nye. If you're still looking for something to do, the party is not over. There's a Bill Nye after party. If you click on your triangle and you will see a banner that says Bill Nye After Party. You can hop on in there. If you were really excited about this segment, you'd like to see it a second time or even a third time, you're in luck. there is an encore replay of this very event that will be happening today at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and then again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're wondering what the heck time zone is that for me, again, click on your triangle, go to home and scroll on. You gotta do a lot of scrolling. Go ahead and click on events, and right there you'll see all the events and those listed in your time zone. So we hope to see you at the Bill Nye after party and at one of the encores. Thank you so much for being here today.
Bill Nye's having an after party.
Used room scale to get backstage and I got a discount. It's a bow tie.
It's the classroom, it readjusted and somehow I was staring at the back.
Oh shit.
What? How's there 90 people here?
There's 300 at the Altspace.
We're deep in
There's no way that 3 people are in this room.
We're back.
How do you get those elbows, man? Those are sick.
There's a lot of people in
And
here.
knees. Are you in a N-Flux suit or what?
Bob and I are in
Anyway, I graduated. I'm singing
We
have an Xbox in front of us.
Xbox Connect. Nice.
Yes.
Oh, that's old school.
Oh, that's all it takes? That's awesome.
A little bit of custom code made by Archer.
Well, all right.
Made by-
You guys got all the motions here.
There's a guy named Archer. They made the legs, but you do get native arm support with a Connect.
Where do I find that code?
$2,000 peripheral for VR, completely useless.
You
don't know what's
you
up
get
with
arms
you
right
guys.
away with you guys could get arms right away.
With weird floating hands.
Yeah, arms will work for you. Just like him.
All right.
So just buy the sensor, plug it in.
Yeah, and you'll have arms.
Just look like this.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, this guy's got it sussed.
It's not set up right for him. I think he's facing the wrong way.
Yeah. Tuxedo Ninja, you're freaking me out, man.
So you'll look like him.
You need to
You'll look like that.
Only your hands. How do I get arms?
I cannot give it away.
That's a big mess.
I want to
You
tell.
seem to have 2 sets of elbows.
Who's this Arthur guy? Is it on GitHub? Can I get it on GitHub?
No.
and your color, yes. Black and red man. Glowing red black man. Found cheese there.
Come get your burgers at 0% fat. They're that light.
Using the
What's up, Craig?
I wonder if this works for VR chat. Why are you pouring beer on the burgers? Beer burgers?
mine? Never enough. Mine.
Let's flush it.
Hey, what's up, Leah?
The camera.
Where'd you go? Duplicated.
Let's get naked.
And now your head has, oh my.
Leah.
I'm hungry. There's totally a camera right there, you guys.
Yeah, there we go. Whoa.
Who that?
Hey,
Who that?
Oh, T. Or something?
West Side. West Siam.
Let's stand and I'm just gonna float off the ground.
Is it taking cinematic views of us? Am I gonna be on the television?
No, it's the NSA.
Where's
Okay,
the
guys,
Bill
no
Nye
pets.
music?
No pets time.
There we go. Got a little bit of height.
Where's that Bill Nye
Yeah,
music?
well, you know, I actually have
It's touch. The camera had inappropriately.
You should walk up and grab the camera.
Are there any other?
got some sodas.
Where's Claire? I don't see Claire.
Into the dark group.
This house is like straight out of the Ready Dog story. It's great. It's totally 1950s or 60s.
We'll grab some beer. The dark room that has who knows what in it.
Just trying to tell who's talking.
Oh, this is really fun.
This dude is freaking me out, man. Kyle, get it together. Go home, you're drunk.
More beers, bro.
No, don't give him more. So we'll call an ambulance.
Yeah, I think we manual for Kyle.
His neck is on his legs. I'm drowning. I need some help. Like he's messed up, man.
Help me, I'm drowning in the pool. Help me, I'm drowning.
Ah, crap, I burnt it. I burnt the burger. Burger's going in the pool, we gotta cool off.
Somebody. Mouth to mouth resuscitation.
There we go.
Oh, floating camel got leaves in the sky. Please grab me. Innumerable.
Hey guys, Keegan here again, because there's so many of you. I just want to tell you one more time. You are in our after party. Thank you for joining us. This is one of our biggest events. It was really cool to have everybody. There's a video playing in the background. If it's too loud to you, look to your bottom left.
Where's the video?
There is no video playing, Keegan.
Sorry guys. So if it's a little bit too loud, look to your bottom left, click the play button, and you can lower the volume from there. Other than that, you have a couple tools at your disposal. You can mute and block people if you cover over their avatar, but make some friends, say hi to people. Everybody here is pretty friendly. I'll stop talking in your ear now. Thanks so much.
Wait.
I have a question for intelligent person. How do I keep my thing from overheating?
He's so sexy.
Bill Nye, the science guy, aired on PBS.
Bill Nye, the sexy.
I don't like popcorn or
On a mission to change the world by getting people everywhere excited about the fundamental
Dude, is that a beer? Dude, I want a beer.
What are you doing?
Bro, can I see that?
Not only is this Bill is kind of sexy.
Okay.
Chug.
No, you're supposed to chant Bill. That's not how you do it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah. What did that say?
JD.
Okay, so you are going to
That's how you do it. Upside down.
so,
Hey, camera guy. Camera boss.
Chris!
Wait, who's here? What? Someone saying my name?
I run water over the
Hello there.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Shaken not stirred.
I see you. I'm behind you. Wait, no! Come back! Right here! I'm behind you. Tequila.
Yeah, that was it.
No. No, there. Hey.
I know.
I think
That's
it is
fine.
water, but never put the 6 eggs in a water.
Oh. I thought you were looking for me.
Free pizza. This is my kind of party.
I have no idea.
You at the legal drinking age? I hope so.
Are we all like cousins?
Gonna call the police.
Yeah.
This is what I want. An infinite pizza.
Everyone's got the same haircut.
Good dog, you fool.
Yeah, so what?
Wait. Bill Nye. What?
Got
I really wanted him to say hi. Anybody know how to cook a barbecue or something? Anybody know how to cook a barbecue? I'm pretty hungry. You send myself a cartoon. It's a frisbee.
Club for knives.
I can't pick up
The food of my people.
And I have some very exciting news to share. I get to be part of the one and only
Are there any admins in here?
World Show premiering on Netflix.
I would.
We'll be talking about every nerdy thing you can dream of.
And we have Derek Moe. In this show, we are going to focus on some of the most important issues facing us in the world today. And these are issues that have scientific solutions. So, of course, the only person who's qualified to host such a program is the man who taught me how to tie a bow tie. And
So
that
are we all
is
idiots?
Bill Nye. And we're all going to work together.
Yeah, you've got some idiot somewhere in here.
Save the world.
Alright, who wants to play now? Oh, shit.
You know, we wouldn't need to be atheists if there was religion.
Right, there was me. Oh,
We would still be normal.
yeah. You know what I like to think about when I like to think that everyone's always living in the past. Like, it takes your brain half to realize that you're thinking. So we're
I'm
never
Bill
living in the
Nye,
past.
science man, and I'd like to talk to you about an exciting step you can take to improve yourself and your life. It's called getting hooked. I know what you're thinking. You're already hooked on so many things. You could be
My drink ran out.
You could get hooked on Netflix.
What? Oh, check that out.
Exactly how people become hooked is still being studied.
Epic hack,
Promising
bro.
research suggests that when the brain is exposed
Is
to
that
a
the
new
Connect
its neural pathways
thing?
open up. And after a certain number of episodes are
Well, you
consumed,
want it to
the
be-
brain's
if you
reward
believe- if
center
you have
is
faith,
flooded.
it's the Connect.
What we do know is that getting hooked on Netflix greatly improves these important
Yeah, I reckon it is because it's janky as hell.
power pasta,
Yep.
crushing
But it's approximately 1,500.
creating an international drug economy.
The bit
All you have to do is keep watching. So friends,
I think
trust
it's
the
worth
science. Go hook yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, those forearms are going crazy. They look like drills.
If I change my avatar, it looks better. So I can't change my avatar.
Nah,
What
man.
is this, the Connect?
Robot Man looks great.
I can get rid of the controllers and have my Connect hands. So put the controllers over there.
You and you are new to Altspace. There's a couple
Yeah,
things
that's
you
my
can do.
Connect hand.
Your home
Yeah, that
menu,
looks much better.
button to the
Does it do your legs?
and stuff going on, including activities.
Yeah, I've got the leap
Oh,
motion
snap,
coming
look
this
at
week as
that.
well, so you'll be able to see my fingers
Disc golf,
this
we have a
week.
360 theater, whole bunch of things for you to go
You'll
and
have-
do, and
you'll be able to see
Hologram
my
Friends
fingers.
Community is one of our most popular games, so you guys should totally go and check some other stuff out. Again, look to your bottom left, click that triangle button, and you will
That is
see all the
dope.
things that Altspace
That
has to
is
offer. So
dope,
I'm really glad you
dude.
joined us today. I'll stop talking in your ear right
All I can
now.
do with my
and
hands
thank
is
you.
just rotate.
I have a question, please.
Yeah, we can slap people with that.
Yeah, but I can't move now because I haven't got any controllers. Unless
You
I
do
get
the Macarena. Yeah, man. How do you walk around? You gotta use a controller.
No, I can physically walk around. I've got so much room in my VR.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
second.
Yeah, it gets significantly worse as you get further away from it, evidently.
So I got, yeah, so I'm right in front of it.
Whoa! Whoa!
What the heck?
So I can walk over to you, I think, if I walk sideways. So.
Great.